Hello and welcome to the Syndicated Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, here today to talk about episodes 5 through 8 of Season 1 of The Mandalorian. Man, have I had a lot of fun doing this, guys. I mean, this is a show. I was super excited when it came out, and, I'd watched it last year, but revisiting it, I felt like I got more out of it. Like I felt like I really got the extent of a fan's experience of the show here. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get right in. We got so much to talk about. Episode 5, The Gunslinger. So basically we start off. Basically a bounty hunter comes after Mando. And he says, I could bring you in cold or warm. And Mando's like, that's my line. And he fucks him up real good. It's funny. And he lands on a planet to get his spaceship fixed. And there's some PK droids there. See running around. And he's not too fond of droids. And basically the lady's like, yeah, you're going to have to really pay a doozy to fix this if you don't want me to use my droids. And he's like, okay. So he goes off to find a job, like a little bounty hunt thing to get money to pay off the ship. And then also, like, there's this really cool, anytime that anyone goes walking through a town, they really give you, like, the imagery of the town. And we see all these spikes with stormtrooper helmets on them. It's like, man, this really is like a post-imperial time where it's like, fuck the Empire, fuck those stormtroopers, we kill them. Put their helmets up in our town to let you know what's up. And basically the lady, when she's fixing the ship, she finds Baby Yoda and is like, well, I'm going to take care of you, and then I'm going to charge him extra for taking care of you. So she takes care of Baby Yoda throughout the episode. A young bounty hunter then comes up to Mando and wants his help in taking in an assassin. He'll give him part of it, but he just basically wants in the guild. And the assassin's name is Toro Calican. And the person they're after is Pele Moto. Again, I had to look up these names. And basically the lady that they're hunting for used to be an assassin for the Hutts. So she's no joke. And the lady is like up his ass, like, you better hurry up and get this job done because, this is a lot of work and you're going to need this and this and this. She's a fun, kind of overbearing character. So Mando and his new bounty hunter take off and they run into some Tusken Raiders. And he's like, oh, are we going to get into a fight with them? And Mando's like, no, we're going to negotiate with them. So he gives him the bounty hunter's goggles so that they can pass through without a scuffle. Because Mando's smart, a young bounty hunter just wants to, wants to make a name for himself in the guild, whereas Mando just wants to go as smoothly as possible because he's had way too much adventure at this point. And they go and they see like a target laying on the ground. So they're like, oh, is she dead? And Mando goes to look at it, and it's a trap. It's a trap. And they start getting fired on from the hill. And so they decide to wait till night and then go at her then when she can't see that well. So at night, they get into a big old fight with her and manage to capture her. Mando makes the young bounty hunter Toro do the work because, hey, it's his job. Mando's just helping out to get his little slice of the pie. And while he's gone, getting all the shit together, she's like, hey, this Mandalorian's wanted by the guild, so if you bring in a Mandalorian, you'll be a legend. Like, let me go, and, you don't even need my bounty. You can just get his bounty. And so he kills her, shoots her in the stomach, kills her. It's like, well, you're useless to me now. I'm going to go after Mando on my own. So this kid, really ballsy. Like, you have a guaranteed money. Like, you could have waited to collect the bounty off the chick and then tried to kill Mando later. Like, you didn't have to kill your one meal ticket and then go after a Mandalorian. Like, it just seems like this kid's really going for it. Really going all in. So Mando gets back to the ship and discovers the guy's already there. And Mando's like, fuck. And he has the child and the lady. The lady's name is Pelimoto, by the way. The assassin's name was Fennec Shad. Anyway, they have the lady and the child. And he's like, all right, Mando, what are we going to do here? So Mando sets off the flare that they were going to use to escape anyway. And then kills Toro very quickly. Like, Toro did not stand a chance. He was very quickly outsmarted by the Mandalorian. So then he pays her all the money that's on Toro and heads out. And that was The Gunslinger. Again, a very kind of small, contained episode. As you see later, we have some very full episodes, so it was kind of nice to have that little small story there. So we get to episode 6, The Prisoner, where basically Mando meets up with some shady runners. Rand Maul is the main one who him and Mando have a history of working together in the past. You know, before Mando was in the guild, he used to do like shady deals with this crew. And then we also meet the head of Rand Maul's crew, Miggs Mayfield, who is a former Imperial soldier played by Bill Burr, actually. And basically, it's a simple jailbreak mission. One of their people is being held captive, and they need to go break them out. And Miggs is in charge and really dislikes Mando because Mandalorians have legends about how great of fighters they are, and everyone wants to prove themselves. That is the thing about being a Mandalorian. There is a target on your back. So we meet the other 3 members of the team. There's Berg, who's like this really big, red, horned guy who just, basically just all strength and no brain. Then we got Zero, who is a droid, who is a pilot droid, and Xian, who has like the tentacle hair, kind of like Ahsoka Tano has. And her and Mando have a past, so there was some romance, I guess, at one point between the two. And quickly, Mando realized shit ain't right when they're heading toward a Republic transport. He's like, so we're going against the new law. Like, this isn't just, enemies took your guy. Like, he's in jail. Like, you want us to, like, legit bust him out of jail. There's a lot of consequences here for going against the New Republic. So he's like, something's up, something's bad. And this droid's like super cocky. He's like, I'm gonna fly your ship because I'm just better than you. And Mando's like, I have to do what they tell me to do to get the money. But god damn it, I hate. He hates droids, and he's like, really, you could tell he hates these people. And honestly, I could use a show about this crew, like before, like when Mando was younger, running with them, or just like shit that they have a very interesting dynamic. That I'm like, I could see it, their own show about this. And Berg keeps testing Mando, and at one point tries to take his helmet off, and they accidentally reveal Baby Yoda. And so now everyone's like, what's that kid? Like, what is that? And Mando's like, shit, like it's an extra layer of things I gotta do. Then we get like a Mission Impossible kind of break-in thing, where everyone's just kind of sneaking around, like Bill Burr's like upside down looking to see if there's droids around, And Berg shoots a little, like one of those little surveillance droids, and now like they're being surrounded by other droids, and they're like, oh, great going, you fucking dick. Mando then proceeds to fuck them all up, like he's decapitating them with his little, like, extender rope thing, and he's using his flamethrower to catch them on fire, and he's just shooting them all on the side of the heads and shit. It's crazy. A lot of cool action there. Really interesting stuff there. So they find a rebel officer who's like threatening to pull a tracking beacon, which will send basically reinforcements to where they are, and they will be completely screwed. And so Mando's trying to go about this the calm way, like, hey man, just, let us go. We won't harm you. And then everyone's like, no, we want to harm him. And then there's a scuffle that breaks out. But Xian kills him with a knife. And he hit the button when he gets hit by the knife. So now they're screwed. So Berg dispatches the guard droids outside, and everyone's making their way. And they find the person in the cell, who is Quinn, Xian's brother. And he tosses Mando into the cell and closes it. So apparently it was a setup to get Quinn out of jail and put Mando in his place. But Mando quickly finds a guard droid, pulls his arm through, breaks his arm off, and uses his arm to escape. So now Mando's loose on the ship with these people who just fucked him over. And he even shuts off the lights and like separates them into groups of 2. It almost turns into like a revenge film, or like a horror film, where there's like dark lighting and people are getting picked off one by one, and there's a lot of tension and fear. I like it. Like, the whole mood of that episode really changed. It went from like this heist type of film to this revenge film like very fast, and I really enjoyed it. So first he fights Berg, who manages to like, deflect his whistling birds or whatever, and he deflects the flamethrower. He just manages to use his strength to pummel Mando until Mando tries to crush him with the door, and he goes to pick it up, and the door slides the other way, and manages to actually dispatch him that way. So, no matter how much strength you have, you can be outsmarted. Then Xian just tossing all sorts of knives. It reminded me of in Naruto in the Chunin exams when Tenten like has all those fucking blades she summons. That's what it looks like. She's just tossing knife. And Mando's just not fazed by this whatsoever. So he quickly dispatches her. And then, like, the lights are flickering, and you see him getting closer and closer to Mayfield. And then Mayfield's like, no, and turns around and tries to hit him. And then, obviously, it cuts to them like, oh, it got him, too. Then Quinn basically is trying to bargain with Mando, like, hey, you won't get paid if you don't bring me back. So you might as well just do your job and, save me. And Mando is like, fuck, okay. So he brings Quinn back. And he also kills Zero, because Zero is trying to kill Baby Yoda. So finishes the job, delivers Quinn, and Ron Maul's like, you're the best, Mando. That's why, good old days. It reminds me of how we used to be. So then Mando leaves, and Ren's about to send a ship to kill him, and then they look down and they realize Mando had stuck the tracker for the New Republic on their ship, and you can see them coming out of hyperjump. And now they're like, shit, they're there. They just deployed a gunship, so now they're getting fired on by the New Republic. And like, so we fade out of the episode seeing it all blowing up. And then we also then cut to the other 3, Berg, Mayfield, and Xian in jail, locked up in Mando's cell. What an interesting episode. Man, it was, like I said, it was 2 very vastly different tones that worked. And it was just a lot of fun just seeing Mando just fuck people up. It's pretty great. And then that leaves us into Episode 7, The Reckoning. So, basically, Karga calls Mando for help because the old Empire people have taken over the town that he does his business in. And, he wants to act like they're going to give up the child and then kill the Empire leader, the client, as he's credited as, in order to get rid of the people in the town. Mando goes and recruits Cara Dune, who is now doing, like, bar fights to get cash. He recruits her because she's one of the only people he 100% trusts. And she's like, well, I'm laying low. Because, I've had to do some crimes to make money after the war, and I don't really want to show my head for a while. And he's like, look, we're killing an Imperial officer. And she's like, oh, well, if we're killing Imperials, that's literally what my old job as a rebel was. So she's very excited to do that. And Baby Yoda, while they're having their conversation, is playing with the ship's controls, and they like, shoot down, and Mando has to go and, like, reline the ship. So they go to Quill, who's Nick Nolte's character from the first couple of episodes, for help as well. And they find that he reprogrammed the IG unit from the first episode from the premiere, who tried to kill Baby Yoda, and has retrained it for service and protection. And he basically, it has a montage, he basically had to raise it like a child, like teach it how to walk and how to handle things and how to perform certain tasks. He had to raise this droid, and it was basically like his own little child. And while they're on the ship talking, Baby Yoda force chokes Kara. So we see that this kid is strong with the Force to be able to force choke somebody. It takes a lot of concentration. So, Baby Yoda is not to be fucked with. So they meet up with Karga, and Kara's given Quill a bit of a shit because he used to work for the Empire, but he was like, look, I was a servant to the Empire. I bought my way out. I'm not a bad guy. I just did what I had to do. There's a lot of that outside of the Jedi Sith stuff. There's a lot of just look, we're real people just doing what we gotta do. Not everyone that works for the Empire wants to work for the Empire. And not everyone who's a rebel may be a good person. So it's I like the dynamics of hey, just like in real life, you never know what you're going to get in somebody. There are good and bad people on both sides. Amanda's is asking Karga a bunch of questions, like how many guards are by the guy and how many people are in the town and how armed are they. And he's getting a little bit of an inconsistent answer. So, some things are looking a little sketchy, and they're attacked by Minox, who are like giant pterodactyls. And Karga is horribly injured and poisoned, and he's probably going to die. But then Baby Yoda heals the wound with the Force, and then Karga feels so bad that he kills all the men that are with him because he's like, look, it was a trap, but it was a trap. But after the kindness that was shown to me by the kid, I can't go through with it. Even I, the leader of the guild, have a conscience. So Mando is willing to go fight. He's like, but we're not bringing the kid. We'll bring the carrier, but you bring me in. Act like you've captured me. I leave the kid with Quill. And they agree on that. And they get there, and the town is full of stormtroopers. Ridiculous amounts of stormtroopers. And they meet with the client. And the client's taunting them. And Gideon's like, did you get the kid? And they open it up and see that the kid's not there. And then the place is immediately gunned to shit by Moff Gideon's orders. And the client and a lot of stormtroopers are killed in the building. And Death Troopers surround the building. And Mando goes to call out to Quill, who has been killed by Desert Troopers, and they have kidnapped the child. So it's we get introduced to Gideon, this bad fucking dude, and Quill's dead. I have spoken, guy. He's fucking dead. Baby Yoda's captured. It's a super bummer, but it leads up into our grand finale of Season 1. The last episode of Season 1 of Mandalorian, Redemption. So we start out with the Desert Troopers who have taken Baby Yoda, and they're just cracking jokes, or they're talking I just want to look at the kid. You got to see what he looked like. I just want to see what he looks like. He's like, look, Moff Gideon just shot up a whole fucking place for very little insubordination. I don't want to also get murdered just because you want to see what this thing looks like. Let's just wait here, wait for orders. And then they're like, have we gotten any orders yet? And they're like, yeah, the person that interrupted him got murdered for interrupting. And they're like, whoop, shit, well, never mind. Don't tell him we said anything. And then they're trying to shoot a can, and they're just shooting all around it. It's that joke that stormtroopers just can't hit anything with their guns. There's just a lot of real funny stuff there with him. And like Baby Yoda bites him when they go to look at it. And then they are immediately killed by the IG robot. I mean, just brutally murdered. And he takes the child. And meanwhile, with Mando and his crew, they're talking about going to the sewers. That's where the Mandalorian should be hiding. He wants to, get backup from the Mandalorians. Meanwhile, a big-ass gun is being set up outside. And while they're calling in to kind of taunt about how much Gideon knows about them, he not only knows... He knows that we learned that Kara is from Alderaan, which is like, oh, no wonder why she became a rebel trooper. Her home planet was destroyed by the Empire. That's total sense of why she hates the Empire so much. And Gideon knows the Mandalorian's name. Like, he knows that he's an orphan. And he's like, I know who this guy is, because the only way he can know who I am is if he read that registry of that time. So and then we get the full story. We see, the whole... Because we only got little flashbacks of the Mandalorian getting rescued. Like, his village is being attacked, his parents hit him in a hole, and a Mandalorian pulls him out and takes him away, and he becomes a foundling and is trained as a Mandalorian. And Gideon is really built as a bad guy. He's like... They're like, how do we know we can trust you? And he's like, you can't. But just right now, it just so happens that your interests and my interests line up. And that's your best bet. I could kill you right now. I still may kill you at the end. But the only hope is to do what I say. And it's like, man, that's such a bad guy thing to say. It's so effective. And IG's fucking up stormtroopers in the town, bringing Baby Yoda. And they use the distraction of IG fucking up the entire town to attack the other stormtroopers. And Mando gets a hold of that big-ass gun, because you can't set up a big-ass gun to then not use the big-ass gun. So he fucks up a majority of the Death Troopers with this big-ass gun. But Gideon lands a shot, like, right in his neck. Like, right, good-ass shot. Like, managed to miss the armor, hit some flesh. Fucked him up. So Mando's down. And Kara refuses to leave him behind. And then the stormtroopers they send one of those burn troopers from The Force Awakens, like one of those fucking people that torch the villages and shit. Send one of those motherfuckers. But Baby Yoda shows up, uses the fucking Force, sends the fire back, and kills that motherfucking fire trooper. Like, oh my god. Like, the baby murdered somebody. It's fucking badass. Like, Baby Yoda's power is we get just a little more each time. And it's like, man, I could use a whole show about, like, an older Baby Yoda. Like, when he's, a little more, can talk better, and can fight more and stuff. I would love that show, So Mando's like, yeah, the only way we can save you is to take your helmet off. He's like, well, you're gonna have to fucking kill me. And they're like, all right, we're gonna leave IG to take care of you, but don't leave him behind. And IG's like, look, you say you can't show your face to a living person. I'm not alive. So they take off the Mandalorian's helmet, and for the first time, we, the audience, see Pedro Pascal's beautiful face underneath the Mandalorian helmet. And IG's like cracking jokes about processors and stuff, just trying to lighten the mood. And he's like, don't make jokes right now, I'm dying. So they make their way down to the Mandalorian hideout and find that pretty much every Mandalorian was killed, because after they helped Mando escape, the Empire came and fucked them all up. And the only one that's left is the welder, one that makes all the armor. And she basically tells him what happened, and that she's salvaging the armor before she leaves. And she tells that the child reminds her of the Jedis that fought the great Mandalore ancestors. And she's like, you must take this child back to where it belongs. Like, you must now travel the galaxy to find its place. And then she gives him the signet of basically a father. Like, now you're now a crew of 2, which means like, hey, like this is the signet you have as a father. And she also gives him his jetpack because he sees all the other Mandalorians with a jetpack, and he's like, man, I gotta get me one of those. So he gets his own jetpack, and then the welder sends them on their way, and the stormtroopers come, and she fucks them up. She has like a wrench and a hammer and just beats the brutal fuck out of them and throws one of them in the melting pot. And I was like, you know what? We see this big-ass melting pot with the metal. I hope someone gets thrown in that. And they did it. They fucking did it. Friday the 13th remake didn't put anybody else in the wood chipper, but the Mandalorian people, they put fucking Stormtrooper in that melting pot. Badass. Yeah, she fucks them all up. So I'm pretty sure she's still alive. And besides, Mando, one of the only Mandalorians still left. So they get in a ferry to go down this lava river, which is like, why is there a ferry on the lava river? Like, how many people are traveling down this lava river that needs a ferry? And they see that at the end of the tunnel, stormtroopers are waiting. And there's no real way to get around this. So IG's like, look, I'm going to blow myself up. And Mando's like, don't do that. He's like, look, my programming is to protect this child. I can't protect this child and also live. So he goes off to blow himself up, and Mando's actually like really upset about this. He actually cares about a droid. Oh my god, character development in a TV show. Holy shit. So he walks through the lava and blows up the motherfucking stormtroopers at the end in a beautiful like warrior's death for this IG unit. And as soon as they get out of the tunnel, Gideon is in a TIE fighter shooting at them. So it's like, Jesus, they cannot catch a fucking break. And there's a funny line where Karga's like, baby, do the magic hand thing. Do the magic hand thing. And he's like, listen, his force is not strong enough to bring down a ship. This is not the Rise of Skywalker. But Mando manages to shoot up to the ship and plants an explosive on it and uses his jetpack to get down to safety, and the TIE fighter is blown up, and we think Gideon is dead at that point. So everyone's like, well, I guess it's the end of the journey now, and Kara and Karga decide that they're going to stay behind. Karga is going to start up a new guild on this planet, and Kara is going to find a new way in life. Then Mando takes the child and is going to take him to his new home. Needs to find... He also buries Quill, which was super adorable. But, he's now leaving on his next journey. And then in this, like, kind of before credit scene, we see Gideon cut his way out of a TIE fighter with a motherfucking dark lightsaber. The dark saber. And it's like, oh my god. So now I'm like, pins and needles to watch Mandalorian Season 2, because first of all, what a fucking episode. We had this big-ass battle with stormtroopers, death troopers, fire troopers, desert troopers, Grand Moffs, fucking bounty hunters, rebel shock troopers, Mandalorians, like fucking people getting thrown in melting pots, big-ass guns, explosions. Like, this was everything it needed to be. And this season as a whole, this show as a whole, just feels like a Star Wars movie, but it's like watching a series of Star Wars short films that are connected. It doesn't even feel like a television show. The production value did not go down. It, in fact, just probably went up because it costs more money to do this all the time. But for 8 episodes, they fucking told a story, man. And if they never got the second season, this would be enough. Like, you could end this here. If we never got season 2, like if it wasn't successful, it didn't get ratings or whatever, and the network wanted to cancel it. Season 1 starts and ends. The only thing is that darksaber. That is the only thing that leaves anything open-ended. But like, they could just say, oh, well, he's off to find Baby Yoda's home, and we don't really need to see that come to fruition. We just know that's what he's doing, There's not a whole lot of loose ends, again, besides that darksaber. But the whole cast was great. Carl Weathers as Grief Karga, the chick who played Cara Dune, Pedro Pascal was great as the Mandalorian. Bill Burr had a great, the great episode as Mayfield. There was a lot of stuff in this season. Like, really, that was a lot of story being told. And like I said, I cannot wait to get at season 2 now, because that was fucking amazing. But yeah, guys, that ends our little journey here. Stay tuned next time. We're going to go over episodes 1 through 4 of The Mandalorian Season 2. I can't wait. I know you can't wait. Again, we're going to have so many podcasts coming in 2021. It's going to be ridiculous. Podcasts, short films, movie reviews, you name it. We're doing it here at MacPack Studios. And I'm going to be just working super diligently on this. Can't wait to continue with The Mandalorian. Also, check out Reality Vomit, where I'm covering Amazing Race Season 1. And most importantly, guys, stay safe, stay nerdy. I'll see you next time.